not enough. They expect a group name as well. So with Lytec 2011, we have added a group name field to all three of the insurance carrier tabs, so that those claims where those are required and the carriers that are require them, that can be entered and populated onto the claim. You'll see another big change in the accept assignment field. This used to be just a checkbox where you either accept an assignment or don't. With ANSI 5010, there is a new value for accept assignment where you can say, yes, the patient accepts the assignment of benefits to the provider, no, they don't, or the patient refuses to assign the benefits to the provider. So with the third option, we had to change this field from a simple checkbox that was yes, no, to a drop-down that would allow you to specify that any of the three options that are there. Another change that you'll see is that the list of the relationship to insured has changed to meet 5010 standards. There are a number of different items that are available there and different ways to specify what the relationship is to insured, and we've changed those to meet the ANSI 5010 specifications. So before I move on to the next screen, which is here in the claim information, more information screen, I want to talk about this exact same screen in charges and payments. The reason I want to talk about the change in charges and payments is because we've made some significant changes to the workflow here and how you get to those screens. Previously, to get to the equivalent of the more information screen in charges and payments, you would come in here to your billing and bill options, or you'd hit the F8 button, and you would come to billing information and click a little button that was down here that would pop up yet another screen that would then have the more information 1, more information 2. In counting the clicks that it took to get to that information, it didn't seem like it was a very efficient way to allow you to get into those fields that are necessary in a lot of circumstances for getting a clean claim out. So we've removed that button and taken the more information 1 and more information 2 screens and added them as tabs to the general billing options screen. So you can very easily come in here and with one click get over to more information 2 and begin your data entry. So in talking about the specific fields that are changed in that particular screen, I'm going to come back to the patient. And the first field that we'll talk about is the special program code field. This field is used to specify any of 4 different special federal funding programs where the federal government has set aside money for specific purposes. And if you are attempting to submit a claim that is a part of any of these programs, this field is necessary. The 4 programs that it allows you to submit claims for are the Physically Handicapped Children's Program, the Special Federal Funding Program, the Disability Program, or the Second Opinion or Surgery Program. Another field that has been added to this that is part of the 5010 transition is the initial treatment date right here. There are certain circumstances where a carrier may require you to list the first date that the patient was treated for the condition that they're being treated for, and then right underneath that they're also asking for a first contact date. So the 5010 has allowed you to specify what the first date is the patient contacted you regarding the condition. Because those fields were added in 5010, we needed to make sure that Lytec had the ability to capture that information as well. Another big change that you'll see here is down here at the bottom, the addition of condition codes. The condition codes used to be a staple of the UB claims, or the institutional claims, and they have been, with 5010, added to professional claims as well. These are very similar to diagnosis codes in that they specify something about the nature of the condition that the patient's being treated for. And there is a predefined list of condition codes. Not every claim will need them, but now that they're part of a professional claim, it is possible for an insurance carrier to require them, and as such, Lytec needs to handle them appropriately. So we've given you those 12 fields there to allow you to enter the condition codes into Lytec 2011. The last piece Actually, no, that is the last piece on the More Information 1 screen. Let's move over to More Information 2. We have modified the nature of condition field for chiropractic claims so that it has a more extensive list that matches with all of the different possibilities for specifying the nature of condition that exist in 5010. This list was expanded, and so as such we needed to expand that in Lytec. That would be something that is very hard for a carrier or a clearinghouse to hard code for anybody. If a claim is requiring a specific nature of condition, that's going to be specific for each patient. It's not going to be something that can be hard-coded properly. Additionally, under the nature of condition, we've added 2 new fields that allow you to specify up to 80 characters that will more accurately describe the condition. These fields will go out on an electronic claim and are part of a new field that is available in ANSI 5010. So if an insurance carrier is asking for more information regarding that nature of condition, you can do that with the condition description 1 and 2 fields. And finally on this screen, the timely filing indicator. This used to be a free-form text field. We've changed it to a drop-down list that will have the ANSI values with their English equivalents next to it. So if, for example, you're filing the claim late because of a natural disaster, you can scroll down and select that from the drop-down list versus having to try to remember that you're typing a 15 there. Entering that information properly might not get the claim page the first time, but it will give you more of a chance if you need to appeal the claim because you let them know exactly why you're filing outside the normal timely filing period. Let's go over here to the diagnosis and reminder screen where you'll see that Lytec 2011 is expanding out from 8 diagnosis codes to 12 diagnosis codes. This means that for patients, billings, claims, etc., you will now be able to get up to 12 diagnosis codes onto a claim or onto a patient as their permanent diagnosis. And 12 might seem a little excessive in the ICD-9 world. However, with ICD-10 around the corner and ANSI 5010 being a precursor to ICD-10, we wanted to make sure that we had the ability to handle the exact same number of diagnosis codes that ANSI 5010 will allow. And additionally, with ICD-10, the diagnosis codes are much more specific. There are more than 3 times as many codes in ICD-10 as there were in ICD-9, so it is conceivable that the number of codes per claim will increase significantly because of the level of specificity that will be required once that comes out. All right, moving on to the charges and payments screen. We're going to bring up an existing billing here and highlight a line item and hit Detail, More Detail, or F4. A change that you'll see here is that we've expanded out the anesthesia fields that are available so that you can accurately submit an anesthesia claim using Lytec 2011. If it is an anesthesia-related procedure that you hit the more detail for, you can select that it is a related procedure, specify what the number of minutes are, and then link it back to another procedure code that will specify which procedure code the anesthesia is related to. So those are necessary in order to get those anesthesia claims out. We've added those to the billing more detail screen. You'll also see down here at the bottom we've added a couple fields that are necessary for proper NDC code processing. That would be the prescription date and batch number fields. Those fields were not available in earlier versions of Lytec, and those were required on claims where the NDC codes were being utilized. Okay. The next thing that we'll show you in charges and payments is the change from insurance narratives to EDI notes. The insurance narrative screen has been renamed to be the EDI Notes Screen. We wanted it to more accurately represent what exactly you were doing within that screen. If I bring it up, and let's add an EDI note to those two particular dates of service, you're now going to see a screen that is very familiar to you with a couple of exceptions. In previous versions of Lytec, you had a date, description, and then this box down here. We've added the new field, type of note, that will allow you to specify the type of attachment that you'd like to add to the particular claim. So if, for example, you want to do a PWK or an MEA, you have the ability to do so. So we're going to do an MEA. It then changes the fields that are listed down here below. In previous versions of Lytec, you would have to type @MEA, followed by an asterisk, and then the first value, asterisk, the second value, asterisk, etc., in order to get that out. We didn't believe that that was a very good workflow, so we've changed that up, and when you choose the type of note, MEA, all of the fields that are necessary to build that segment properly will now appear. So you can go, say, test results, you can choose what type of a test it was, and then put in the result and save that. So now we have that one there. You can also add another one. So if you have multiple EDI notes, you now have the ability to do that. So you have your MEA and an NTE with a note or special instruction. You can go through and create that exactly the way that you need to. Okay, let's move over to the scheduler for a minute and talk about some changes that happened with the eligibility requests in ANSI 5010. So if I come into my scheduler, within each appointment and each appointment reason, you're going to see a new field labeled service type code. This service type code will allow you to specify what type of eligibility request you would like to perform. In earlier versions of Lytec, you were only able to submit a service type code of 30. It was hard-coded into the eligibility request. What 30 means is you're asking the insurance carrier for general coverage information. It's a general eligibility request that will only return the most basic information. The carrier will generally respond and say, yes, the patient has coverage, here's their copay, here's their deductible, etc. With different service type codes, you now have the ability to go through and ask specifically regarding specific types of coverage, like chiropractic coverage or mental health coverage. Any of a number of different service type codes that are all listed in the Lytec 2011 help file. So if you go in here and say you want the service type code for this appointment to be CH, when the eligibility request is sent out, it'll be chiropractic, and if the insurance carrier will return that type of information, then they'll send back specific chiropractic coverage. Again, there's a long list of different service type codes that you could enter and submit using this field. I would refer you back to the help file, and you also want to verify with the insurance carriers that they can take the different service type code requests that you're trying to submit. Okay, back to the insurance carriers. There's a couple of changes here that we need to talk about. The first change that we'll see is that the accept assignment box, again here, has been changed from a checkbox to a drop-down. Now you don't see patient refuses because this is a default value for that insurance carrier, and you don't necessarily want to default that all patients refuse. That's something that's done on a patient-by-patient basis, but you can state the provider by default accepts assignment for this insurance carrier. The other change that you'll see down here is insurance type. This list has been significantly expanded from earlier versions of Lytec. This is because ANSI 5010 has increased the number of insurance types that can be submitted on a claim. Insurance carriers are going to change the types that they're going to require in order to increase the number of rejections that they're going to be able to put out there. If they change that and your system is not able to adapt to it, then and you don't have the ability to enter the proper insurance type, then there is an increased likelihood that you will experience rejected claims as you try to get that worked out. Okay, so that is it for ANSI 5010. Let's move